Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dyer Lycaos, and I wanted to talk a little bit about my concerns for the 2024 election. Results are in. Trump has won with an unprecedented 312 electoral votes, and as of right now, he has taken all 7 swing states. When was the last time something like this happened? Well, in 2008, Barack Obama won 6 out of 7 of the commonly held swing states today against John McCain. But he only won Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Nevada. He did not win Arizona. And he won by margins from 2 to 14%, arguably a landslide. Now, for Trump to have won all 7 swing states when Obama didn't, now, this is either a representation of a mass mandate by the American people. He has huge support across the country. Or this may be representative of a mass vote manipulation. Now, what's interesting is his overall support during this election, his final counts were lower than 2020. But he won in key parts, and this is the current theory, because Democrats didn't vote. Or did they? Now, let's talk about last election real quick. 2020, post-election, post-Trump losing to Biden, he and his campaign launched 62 lawsuits in 9 states. In those 9 states, key swing states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, all key swing states, they targeted election process, vote counting, and vote certification, and they were all dropped with no findings of widespread fraud. This was after he lost. Now let's break down real quick Trump's current winnings in the 2024 election. And one thing I want to make clear is that the State Edison exit polls, which is the poll people take when they leave after voting, with a margin of error of around 3%, it shows some interesting data for the election night. Now, in swing states, it showed in the exit polls, Harris had the chance of winning 4 key swing states beyond the 3% margin of error. It also showed that Trump had the chance of winning 3 key swing states within that 3% margin of error. Yet, current voting data now is showing Trump winning all 7 swing states. And I think this is a serious red flag, and let me explain why. So, early exit polls specifically show data of real voters that voted. It's as they're leaving their locations. Yet the results we're currently seeing do not match what the original early exit polls are showing. Now, in 6 of these 7 states, they voted democratically all the way up and down the ballot. Yet Trump won the presidency in all 7 of them. He won by what you can call a non-down ballot vote. That means you did not down ballot vote your party. And in this case, they only voted for Trump as president, and they either voted for Democratic electors, or Democratic positions for everything else, or something else happened. Now, that brings up the point of a non-down ballot vote. This is a vote where you only vote for your candidate, president, and you don't vote for anything else. Now, when you do vote, you generally vote on a ballot machine that prints out your vote, and that ballot gets processed. It gets processed by a vote tabulator at the end of the night, or whenever they're counting their votes after the election is closing. This just happens at each of the polling locations. Then, after the vote tabulators conduct their counts, that data is stored internally and is transferred from the machine onto a secure device, and that is sent off to add to the total counts that are, shown to the public. Now, Steven Spoonamore, a noted cybersecurity expert, talks about how could you hack an election that uses our process. This is interesting. He thinks that if you were to do it, you would do it at the vote tabulator level. You would attack the vote tabulators that process the ballots, and you cause the data, the votes, the counts to either be misreported, or you add on your own ballot counts on top of the totals. Now, This would require you to have physical access to the devices either during the counting process window or have already uploaded your software, your changes to the device before the election. And so the question then is, well, if they were already hacked before the election, we should have seen that, right? Testing should have shown that they're miscounting votes. Well, if you were to have access to the device before the election, you would likely just install a hack that only executes during a set time and date to prevent it from being found beforehand, perhaps only on election day. And so if you had the ability to do this, you would incentivize only voting in person on the election day, and you would attack mail-in ballots and you would attack early voting because those could fall outside of your manipulation time zone, your ability to manipulate. And so let's talk about what we're actually seeing in those 7 swing states, or we'll talk about 3 of the 7 that I have direct data for. And if a manipulation occurred at the vote tabulation level, we should see this data in comparison to what the exit polls were showing versus the final counts we're getting. Now, current margins for Trump to win a few key swing states here. Wisconsin. Trump won with 1.697 million votes. Harris got 1.667 million votes. That's a difference of somewhere around 30,000 votes. Now, what a key takeaway for this is, remember when I talked about non-down ballot votes or no down ballot votes? Meaning you voted just for your candidate at the top level and you didn't vote for anyone else, or you didn't vote your party for anyone else. Trump won Wisconsin currently by 50,000 non-down ballot votes that just vote for Trump. Michigan. Trump won with 2.804 million votes. Harris, 2.724 million votes. Difference of around 100,000 votes or less. Similar situation to Wisconsin, Trump had a reported 123,000 non-down ballot vote wins that pushed him over the line. Arizona, which is still being contested and counted, Trump currently has 1.672 million votes. Harris, 1.489 million votes. So somewhere a little more than 200,000 votes Trump's leading. And what's interesting is those early exit polls and the current data we have for non-down ballot votes is showing that Trump gained over 100,000 non-down ballot votes. Final count pending. So as I said, if you wanted to manipulate the votes at the tabulation level, the easiest way would be to add in additional counts on top of the totals. And you would add in counts that only vote for the presidency and are blank for every other position. You would do this to prevent noticeable changes to local positions such as democratically held counties. Now, this goes hand in hand with what we're seeing for current voting data in these swing states. Trump won at least 3 swing states due to non-down ballot votes only. Now, as I said, you would need physical access to the tabulation machines prior or during the election to do this. And if you recall, on election night, over 60 jurisdictions faced bomb threats that caused the polls to be evacuated, while key personnel stayed on site. What's interesting is Starlink was used to provide internet service across the swing states. And Elon Musk, the owner of Starlink, with a direct hand, is an avid supporter and a key partner in Trump's campaign. Now, these bomb threats turned out to be attributed to Russian interference. What's interesting now is we're seeing Russia specifically reminding Trump about paying his debts and how he was supported. Now, so what's also strange is leading up to the election, Trump was heard saying on multiple accounts, I already have your votes. I don't need your votes. This is strange because you'd think that he wants he would be worried about not having enough votes and making sure that people are going out and voting and supporting him, as he seems to be losing popularity. As I said, he got less overall votes in this election than last election against Biden. What's also interesting is Joe Rogan spoke about how Elon Musk, during the election, was talking. Elon Musk had the actual election counts, accurate election counts, within 4 hours of the polls closing, and had already called the election for Trump. Elon Musk knew Trump had already won. This should be impossible because, one, he didn't have the data. It wasn't public data yet. The counts were still being held and represented. But the only way he could have known with that level of accuracy is if he had inside access and he could see the counts in real time or read the voting data as it was being sent across his Starlink network. Now, don't forget, Elon Musk just recently said that nothing is unhackable. Now, let's talk. So for final Trump's had less turnout than in the last election, but he still won because Democrats didn't vote, right? Well, what if they did? What if Democrats had predominantly voted by mail and early voting? What if those two types is how the Democrats represented themselves this election? And as I said, these are the two types of votes you would want to target because they are potentially going to fall out your ability to manipulate if you have access to the tabulation machines. Now, what's interesting is if for some reason the Democrats did vote mail-in ballot and in early voting, where'd their votes go? Well, we are seeing across the country right now, especially online, people are talking about how their votes are not showing as counted on their online portals, or they're getting rejected for minuscule reasons. So what do you do? What can we do? If this was a hacked election, how do we prove it? Well, Stephen Spoonamore, his suggestion is do recounts in key swing states. So select 2 of the most heavily red counties and hand count them. If those results from the hand count vary by 6% from a election night, this is a red flag. This is a clear indicator there was vote manipulation. If you repeat this process across multiple counties, across multiple swing states, you've shown the election was manipulated. Now, if you voted by mail, if you're watching this and you voted by mail or you voted in person, you need to go and verify your count, or verify your vote was counted. Go to your online portals, check your local election processes. And if it wasn't counted or if it's not showing, you need to reach out. You need to reach out to those local election officials and you need to fix it. You need to cure your ballot. You need to do whatever. Because if this happened to millions of people across the country, that is enough to impact this election. So, overall, do you think the 2024 election was rigged? Thank you.